Hello, day 7 of the 12 days of Christmas. So, Happy New Year if you are in 2025. It's New Year's Day. And so today we're talking about the future. And I would like to have this conversation as I see very rooted pessimism in all media communication regarding the future. And it's all about distrust, catastrophes, war, crisis, climate instability, political instability, and whatnot. And there is a general communication of conflict and fear that becomes rooted in what we see every day, like the news. So today I'd like to talk about creating the future and how we can possibly have this conversation with our children and with our elder generation as well, right? So the difference between future and resolution, just to make it clear, future is any time that is yet to come, any time that is forward in relationship to the present moment. And while resolution, it's actually a series of actionable steps, a plan that you can do to reach whatever future you have in mind. Okay. So the future is more of a generic conversation where there is place and space for the imagination. And resolution is a little bit more action and time bound in a way. Okay. So the conversation I would like to have is about the aspiration, the desires, and also when we're talking about resolution, the aims that we might want to have. Okay. I love having this conversation with my children, and I think that the commitment and the dedication to creating future is such an intriguing conversation to have as kids. Know they can. They have a bit of the quote unquote arrogance and the unexperience that makes it so that they don't give up. They are not willing to be controlled by anything or anyone. They're just like dreaming and making it happen in a much more convinced way, in a way. Okay. So anyhow, I believe that as adults we start on giving up, and there is this switch from the dedication based on curiosity, so a sense of educate oneself and then take action and move on, and we kind of switch to a more passive hope, where we kind of hope that somewhere outside of us will make everything better. Okay. So right, let's go into the like nitty and gritty. So how would you approach this conversation with children? What I do is, as I have 3 kids, I take some creative time, and it's a one-by-one conversation because there is peer pressure. If you have brother or sister, you know that, and there's also a rush to create. So take them one by one, and we actually take advantage of the many new calendars that we have lying around, and each one choose a calendar, and then we kind of take some time to ask some question like, where are you now, and where would you like to be? Okay, so we're in the where would you like to be conversation. There is a bit of a broader spectrum that is not necessarily put in a calendar, but it's more like, you know, how would you like your grades at school to be like? Or would you like to go to any concert? Or if you have any body goals, like my kids are dancers, so they have some positions they're working on and whatnot. And then, like, maybe money conversation. The Christmas holidays are such a great time, as you might be a bit less concerned about scheduling, to have those big conversation. Like, for example, we do watch the fluctuation of the price of gold to buy it and to sell it. So it can be a moment to educate yourself and your children about the price of gold, or maybe to declutter, as we were talking a couple of days ago. So maybe sell unused clothes or toys or not, and then maybe even starting a business. It is something that it is. Those are some of the conversation you can have it with your children, and then what I usually do is take the calendar and ask them, okay, so where would you like to be here? Okay, and so we take the chance to just look at the calendar and be like, okay, so within the end of January, what would I like to have achieved? What are my goals? And it's kind of easier in a way to divide them into weeks and months. So with a calendar, you usually see the month, and it's quite interesting as it becomes way more actionable. Okay. Ooh, I got a notification! Yay! Anyway, um, all right, and also one benefit about the calendar that I really love is when you put something in a calendar, you actually have a visual reminder that it's a bit like a vision board, if you wish, that allows you to, well, first have it time bound and then keep focused. Okay. I believe this is a great time management activity. It helps to keep you focused, and it's actually something that also allows you to make clarity on your priorities as well. Okay. Also, in our brain, we do have a filter that helps us focus on priorities, and it's called reticular activation system, or RAS. Look it up if you're intrigued. I find it extremely interesting. Now, we had this conversation about like maybe introducing the concept of future. I with kids, and I know that as teacher or parents or adults, it's a bit like we feel entitled, and there is even the expectation that we might be leading the younger generation. So education make it so that we have the enormous power and trust, according to society at least, to say something and without any justification have the little people do what we say, at least to try what we say, like, try the green beans, or try and study by color coding your notes, whatever. Okay. With adults, it's a bit more of a delicate conversation. So, um, but I think it's one that we can have. I'm thinking about my parents right now, actually, and some of my elder students. But I believe there is a kindness and a leadership in asking the people around you with genuine interest and curiosity, where are you now? And where would you like to be? What are your priorities now? And even gently assisting them and encouraging them to have goals further on in the future. And it can be like health goals, or money goals, like money clarity. That could be a great goal, or like any sort of project like travels. And what I see as a great lightness and enlightenment, as in some great lightness, is to actually mark it down on your calendar. So actually, if you're planning to, like with my parents, we're planning to go out and have lunch on a mountain at one point. So rather than leaving it there and making anything else more relevant, what I see as a kindness is just be like, okay, so when are you available? Let's make it happen. Um, because sometimes, especially with adults that do not work anymore, it's very easy to be like, oh, we're going to do that sometimes in the future, and then you never do. So, what leadership can you be both in inspiring younger generation and elder generation to know that there is a future available? We are the ones creating that. And rather than buying into the pessimism and the conflict and the distress of whatever we get from the media, allow them to know that they have resources, that they have goals, and that they can achieve them. And you can be there every step of the way, but not necessarily from a space of effort and like pushing and pulling them, but rather inspiring them. And they know that you're gonna be there, on the borderline, encouraging and cheering for them. And I think that that is a great, phenomenal gift. And we're gonna talk about it tomorrow a little bit more. I read a beautiful article about sandwich generation, so let's keep it for tomorrow. Anyhow, thank you for being here today. And please, if you like further information about energetic awareness and intergenerational communication, please go to the Access Consciousness website, check my profile page, as there are a ton of upcoming classes with exactly this topic, and you can find them under Conscious Parent, Conscious Kids. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow.